Grace, what 2 things am I looking for? Four. I told her before, I do not look at answers. So my people who still going through their marking A, B, or C and running on, I don't look at answers. And then I told her the rule of thumb. We right, who need to be right? That's a rule of thumb. I'm the type of person, I like perfect papers. Whatever they got, I'm gonna make sure I get all of it. That way she can't tell me I didn't have what I needed. All right, I also told her yesterday that this is time that all of us can participate. How can I participate? Read question, answer question, give a strategy, give an explanation. Several ways. This is where everybody should be receiving a participation grade. Because by now, everybody can at least read. All right, and of course, I gave us another reminder. All your work is due by when? That's next Friday. Some of you been trying to get caught up. Some of you still ain't submitted nothing. If you ain't trying to work on being friends with me, I don't know how you're going to get that 70 to get away from here. But keep doing what you're doing. All right, so we're going to start looking at part 2. Part 2 is the small section. It only has about 8 questions. So we started on part 1 yesterday, and I definitely want to make sure that we can at least answer some of the questions on part 2. All right, get your paper and pencil. And then maybe because they still working on it, I suggest keeping it up maybe in case it do pop in. All right, so I'm gonna just make it smaller. We're gonna need the information in that table, so you may want to get it down somewhere. We're gonna need it throughout this whole 8 questions. In that chart, you need the name, so make sure you got the name and you know what it's for. But when I move the pages, the chart ain't gonna be there. So that's why I told you to get it down. All right, somebody read to us. Go ahead.
A customer purchases 3 bottles of crystal clear, which is a total of 1 ounce of water.
Good job. So 7th grade part 2 is on unit rate. How do we find unit rate? What does unit rate tell us? Good job. Somebody told us how much for 1. How do we get the unit rate? What typical operation? If we have the unit rate, we'll multiply. If we don't have it, we divide. This answer, that'll be the cost divided by the number of ounces. So we need to figure out the unit rate of each of those. And when you start on part 2, do the same thing. Whenever they give you that chart, go ahead and get all those unit rates. That way, when you move through those questions, you can easily answer those questions. Yeah, it was just kept showing up like that. What you mean all that stuff?
It's, I don't know, yeah,
Let's play on this stuff.
yeah.
It pops up on a lot of children. Yeah, just hit the X. You see that? How you hold it up and hit the X. Yeah, I don't know how computers do that.
I thought it was just me because ain't nobody said anything about it. Just cut it down.
Just hit the X. It just gonna remind you about your.
See, I thought I had about it because and stuff out. virus not there.
They're trying to get you to buy
It's cutting out my Wi-Fi messing up.
it's all over out here.
Oh,
It's all over. Thank you, guys. But yeah, you good. They can try to get you to purchase.
and then if I purchase, I don't see it. I ain't gonna purchase it, I'm saying.
If you punch it, it's gonna take you to a new window and ask you to buy, but of course you ain't gotta buy. But I usually just hit that little X just to clear it off the screen. And it could mean that you visited a site that had some bad stuff. We ain't gonna say bad stuff. Typically all websites nowadays have those little ads. Kind of like when you get on Facebook, they always got some ads.
This was sticky.
All right, she messed me up. But I said, as soon as they give you that chart on part 2, go ahead and get the unit rate to meet. So looking at crystal clear, our cost is $3.38, and it's 16.9 ounces. So we're gonna go ahead and find that unit rate. $3.38 divided by 16.9. 0.2, even. Somebody verify. 0.2. All right, and then we got Pure Refresh, $2 for 8 ounces. What's that? 25 cents. And then we got Spring Fresh, $2.16 for 12. All right, I hear 0.18. Verify. All right, good job. So those are our unit rates. Now part 1 said the customer purchases 3 bottles of crystal clear and gets how many ounces? How many ounces in 1 bottle of crystal clear? 16.9. How I figure out how many going to be in 3 bottles? Good job. Multiply. Somebody verify here 50.7. All right. Y'all know me. If somebody tell us yes, we agree. We gotta sit there until somebody verify. All right. Somebody tell us about part 2. Proportional equation. For those of us who may have forgot, proportional equation is y equals m of x. And m is the unit rate. Another name they call it is the constant of proportionality. Anybody remember what proportional relationships do? Everybody must have that 70 to get away from math, then, Lord. All right, what do we find in the unit rate of? Spring Fresh. What do we find the unit rate of Spring Fresh to be? 18 cents. Y equals to 0.18x. Unit rate is always beside the x. Proportional relationships go through the origin. That's why we don't have anything at the end telling us plus or minus, because it went through at 0, 0. It also forms a diagonal. Any questions about it? Anybody still need something? Everybody good? You still got your chart in your unit rate somewhere? Okay. All right, part B of that said, at this rate, how much do 48 ounces of Spring Fresh cost? Now, we just said the unit rate of Spring Fresh was what? 0.18. So now we're trying to figure out how much for 48 ounces. If that's for 1 ounce, how can I figure out 48? Good job. So we just
multiply 8.64.
All right, so it costs $8.64. Any questions about it? Any questions about it? Y'all sure? Make sure you get what you need. Like I reminded the last class, I mean what I say when I say I do not look at answer choices. I do not look at A, B, C, or D. Either you're going to put the work that we be putting, or you're going to get an explanation that we be putting. And I know I do both. And so this yesterday, rule of thumb, teacher writing, I'm going to write. The kitchens ain't going to be able to mark it off because I'm going to make sure I got everything she told me to get. I'll make it bigger. All right, number 3. It says the graph shows the football stadium's peer refresh sales, where W represents the number of peer refresh water bottles sold, and T represents the total cost in dollars. What is the meaning of the 0.12? So in order for me to tell the meaning, that means I need to know the points. What comes first, X or Y? Be surprised at how many other players told me Y. And these be the main questions we fail when all it is just looking. So looking at this graph, I recognize that my X is W and my Y is T. W represents what? Thank you. Water bottles. And T represents total cost.
Total cost.
Notice how I wrote that on the side of my paper, because guess what? I want to make sure I choose the correct answer. Most of y'all see a question like this and it be wrong, and I be like, so we really can't read a graph. So if they gave me the 0.12, and I put that in what we got, 1, 2, that represents 1 what?
1
and 2. So then I'm gonna match up which one works. Which one? Good job, C. That's a 4th, 5th grade standard. We're just understanding X and Y. And a lot of us will miss that question. All right, everybody got what you need? All right, this question had a part B. It said, what statement about the graph is true? Then I recognize they only got 1 point up here, so I'm gonna remember what my points was. WT, W was for bottles, and then T was for the cost. So what could 0, 0 possibly mean? 0 water bottles, 0 cost. And which one matches up? Somebody said B.
B.
Good job. All right, anybody still need something? And my ball. All right, somebody reading on the floor too.
Of the surface manages hot water cells on the graph where the x-axis represents the number of ounces of water cells and the y-axis represents the total cost of the cell. Given the cost per ounce of the water is proportional to all the water grams. Complete the table to indicate which order pair to represent the water cells of crystal clear, toothbrush, and spring fresh at the football stadium.
Good job. So once again, it's going back to unit rate. They mentioned something up here, proportional. Let's say it's proportional. So we know that equation is y equals mx. We can also find proportional when we do y divided by x. Now, before we even think about that, go back and get our unit rate. Crystal clear was how much? 26. Pure
0.2. 0.25.
spring. Good job. So notice they gave us coordinates. So with those coordinates, we're going to divide the y by the x, and we're going to see which one of those numbers it gave us. Case in point, 48, 12, the y is 12, the x is 48. So that will be 12 divided by 48. Somebody verify? So which one does it need to go with? All right, we're going to do the same with the next one. 13.52 divided by 67.6. Verify. And the last one, we got 15.12 being divided by 84. Screen refresh. That's why I said if you get your unit rates in the beginning, you're not still spending time trying to get those unit rates because I already got that. I'm just spending time trying to work the question. Yep. Good question. If these sound big water bottles, yeah, I want to say I've heard of pure fresh, maybe crystal clear too. Because I want to say they do the little juice pouches for your water. Oh, that's what you have is they actual company? Yeah, I think so. I just don't know about Spring Fresh unless it's not in our area. But I know crystal clear for sure. The other ones may be made up. All right, once you finish, can somebody read 5 too? I think it's 5.
The relationship between the cost of being values of the ounce of crystal clear water and the owner of the ounces. Any purchases of football stadium could be modified.
Proportional equation, they said this time of which one? Crystal clear. We said that number in that proportional equation is the what? Unit rate. So what do we say the unit rate of crystal clear was? So D equals to 0.2 E. Any questions about it? Anyone still need something? Okay.
We can write 0.2 or 0.2.
Yeah, either one. What I put, just 0.2. You can do 20 if it's done a lot of money. But it'll say either way. All right, everybody got what you need? Three more questions on part 2, then we'll go back to part 1. All right, number 6, somebody read it too. All right, so look at what they told us now. They now gave us a chart. Of course, they had already told us 16.9 ounces was $3.38. Now they want us to figure out how much would 33.8 ounces be. Now with crystal clear, didn't we find a unit of crystal clear? What was it? 0.20? And now we got 33.8 ounces. What we gonna do? All right, keep in mind that unit rate tell you for 1 ounce. Multiply. $6.76. We'll cost $6.76 for 33.8 gallons. Part B of that said they paid $27.04, and we trying to figure out how many ounces they got. What we gonna do now? That's division. 27.04 divided by that unit rate of 0.2. You said what? 135.2? I mean, they'll get 135.2 ounces. Any questions about what we just did? All right, anybody still get something? All right, let me know you finished. Two more questions on part 2. So part 2 don't have a lot of questions. We just got to make sure we understand unit rate. All right, somebody read number 7 too. All right, now they talking about pure refresh, and they got 480 ounces. How much did 1 ounce of pure refresh cost? 25 cents. So 480. 25. All right, I hear 105. That last one was what? 6 point, what we said, part B to that other part was?
120.
What was on 6 76.76. And then the second one was 135. All right, I hear 120. All right, somebody read 5 for us. I mean, not 5, 8.
Given the proportion of water cells, what is the cost per ounce of pure water? 25 cents.
25 cents. And how we know it's 25 cents? Good. And we had already did that from the beginning. So that's why I say if you do all your unit rates in the beginning, most of them may even ask you a question for the unit rate and you have already found it. Any questions about unit rates? Working them in a coordinate plane? Any questions about that? Y'all sure? All right. Nakia, you want me to have you watch? All right, so that is part 2. Now we're going back to part 1. What did we stop on yesterday? 21? Oh yeah, and
22.
Yes, 22. Connor brought something to my attention yesterday before we left. What we had for 21? You should have it in your notebook. You were here yesterday.
B, C, and A.
All right, Connor brought something to my attention before we left. They said 2 statements. I know we proved B and we proved C. Take off A. He brought it to my attention yesterday after school. They gave us 2, so we're going to choose the 2 that we weren't able to verify, the B and the C. On mine and Midwin, I done looked over something. All right, 22. What complementary means? Complementary angle. Not same. Equal what? Guessing ain't it for me. Now that's what I be saying. So that means we don't know. Complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. What add up to 180? Good job. Supplementary. Supplementary. So 190 is complementary, 180 is supplementary. So based on this question, what can I already eliminate? Good job, C and D. All right, so looking at A and B, we already know what the equation is because we already said they supplementary, mean they got to add to 90. So notice they did just that. 3x plus 5, they added to 2x equals to 90. Now they want us to figure out the measure of L. Looking at that equation, what can we do? We can't solve it the way they gave it to us. What can we do? Work it out how? By doing what? No. 90 isn't the value of x. It's telling me when I add these together, I get x. Before we can solve that equation, we got to do combine like terms. What are like terms? 3x plus 2x is how much? 5x. So now we have 5x plus 5 equals to 90. Now we can solve the equation. What will be our first step? Good job. Subtract 5 on both sides. So now we have 5x is equal to 85. Now what are we going to do? Divide by 5. Good job. Both sides.
17.
to 17. They told us we trying to find the measure of what? L. And what information did they tell us about L? 3x plus 5. Did we just figure out what x is? Now we're going to substitute. So 3 times that x of 17 and add 5.
56.
That means B will be our correct answer. A lot of us would have had A as their correct answer. So make sure you go back and reread and know the difference between if they're looking for that variable or if they want you to go back and substitute it in. Good job. All right, can someone read 23 to us?
$35 and 5 bags of popcorn and a movie theater. Each bag costs $1.75, and each bag of popcorn costs $8. The equation model is selection shift. How much does one bag of popcorn cost?
What did they tell us represent popcorn? So that means we are solving for x. What will be our first step in solving for x? What that means, don't tell me parentheses, because I don't see no operations in parentheses. Start with a D. Yes, y'all got to recognize the descriptive property. I hate when my children tell me that motherfucker. And then we always gonna forget that second step of it, which is to multiply both. 5 times x. 5 times 1.75. Come on, verify. Is now equal to 35. What's our first step? What's the constant without the variable? Positive or negative? So subtract 8.75 on both sides. So now we have 5x is equal to what? All right. Now what I need to do to get x by itself? By? All right. Good job. Everybody got what you need? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. They just don't want to stay put today. All right, can someone read to us?
For the students factor the expression 48x plus 56. The table shows the student's responses.
Anyone know which student factored the expression correctly? What are we using? Thank you. Primitive property tell us to do what? Multiply what? Be more specific. Yes. Because we always only do the first. 8 times 6x. 8 times 7. 8 times 7x. 8 times 13. You know what I'm saying? Good. So what's that? Good. Anybody else? One and two, what we have 1, 2. B. Yeah, it would be 22. Okay. All right, 25.
The ratio of the amount of red paint loss to meet the youth amount of green paint is. Select a certain set of net 22.
You finished? You said 27? What that came from?
It's like 25 on that. It's 25 on that.
Yeah, we were just on, you want me to take count? So she threw me off on her head with 27. I said, wait a minute. All right, so pay attention to what they said. Once again, they want to know which statements are true. It's according to plain, so that means I need to remember my x comma for my y. X is talking about what?
Amount of green paint.
So I need to make sure green is for x and y is talking about what? Red paint. Look at those answer choices and think about which ones are matching up. All right, A says a half a quarter green and 1/4 red. All right, I hear A, C, and E. right, somebody said just 2. So look at A, C, and E. A, 0.5 parts of green. Green should have been which one, X or Y? So it's 0.5 in the front? All right, so then now here B and D. B said a half a quart of red. Is that in the right spot to be a half a quart of red? Y'all see this? So that means X is 1 and Y is 0.5. So I'm asking, should 0.5 be for green if green is for X? Huh? See the homework recognize it? Y'all still sitting up here talking about A. Do we see why A is not E? Yes, I hope you do. Because green should be in the front. 0.5 isn't in the front. D and B says 0.5 of red. Red is Y. Ooh, it's over there for Y. 1 quart of green. Ooh, it's over there for X. This one though, once again, we should not be getting incorrect. We're just based on looking to see if it's correct. Now she said D. 2 quarts of red is 2 for what? And then 4 quarts of green? Yes. So we definitely have to look close to make sure we put them in the right place. Even if you need to do what I do, X, Y, and which one it represents. So when I'm looking at that coordinate, I'm going to be reading that coordinate as 1 green and 0.5 red. It didn't match up with A, maybe the second one did. Any questions about it? Y'all sure? I need us to at least get the easy question, at least get some points. All right, 26. The difference between the medians. Where do I find the median on a box slide? What you mean by middle? See, the only person can tell me the middle. That middle in that bar is always the median. And they said the difference. How do I find the difference? All right. 45 is the largest. Take away what? 25? What we got? 20. So the difference of the medians is 20. I'm going to write it right there. All right, so let's look at what they told us. A said the difference in the medians is about 4/3 the interquartile range of the number of checks cashed at either ATM. How do I find interquartile range? You okay? Oh yeah, I probably didn't even look. Okay. IQR, how about interquartile range? Office follow Ms. McLaurin. Alright, IQR is your quartile 3 or the greatest median, and we're gonna take away quartile 1. Remember I told y'all box plots have 5 things that's always in the same place. We got the median, we got quartile 1, quartile 3 is on the end, that's the greatest value, and then the lowest value. So interquartile range of ACM 1. They look about 35, 20. What's 35 minus 20? So the IQR of that one is 15. All right, come down to the second one. What we got? To get? All right, so they said the difference in the median is about 4/3 the interquartile range. They got the same interquartile range. So let's see. The median is about 4/3 there. The median was 20. 20 and 4/3 gonna get us that 15? All right, part B said the difference in the medians is about 4/3 the rank. Let's do that correct. It said 4/3 in a quartile rank. So that would have been 15 times 4/3. Somebody do 15 times 4/3. 15 times 4 divided by 3.
20.
Did that work? It did. That was our difference of the medians, 20. So it retaught us interquartile range. They also mentioned range. How do you find the range? Good job. Greatest value, take away the lower value. I need to tell me tonight. Y'all don't remember that? I know y'all did that in 6th grade. That what did the pandemic? Y'all better work on this pandemic. Everybody got what you need? Okay. All right, we're gonna see if we can at least look at 27. Kind of give you a reading tool.
A diameter consuming 1,500 calories on Monday. The diameter consumed is comprised of this one. What is it? Diet of 1,000 of 1,100 calories. Yeah, 1,100 calories a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And has 8 snacks that are 80 calories, which they make true.
All right, so before we can do anything, let's first figure out which one would be the correct equation. 1,500 calories on Monday, a combined 1,100 for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and has X snacks for 80. What are we doing? All right, look what they said. 1,100 came from what he ate at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then he had some snacks that cost 80 calories each.
How many snacks?
You say 80x plus 1,100, that would be correct. The whole point was to notice that 80 should be multiplied by 1,100. That was the whole point of recognizing. So C and D are gone. Looking at that equation, now we need to solve it to figure out how many snacks. What will be our first step? What's the constant? 1,100. Constant is by itself. When you solve an equation, that's the first thing you move, constant. You can't touch that variable. So it's plus, subtract 1,100 on both sides. 1,500 minus 1,100, 15 minus 11. Okay. Remember those are things that I should be waiting on from 7th grade. Now what we doing? What you got? Oh yeah.
5.
I did 80 times 5.
Oh, so you saying you substituted in 4 times 80 and 5 times 80 and saw which one gave you that?
Yeah.
That'll work as well. I'd rather just solve it out. Any questions about it? Okay, you all right. All right, so if you get what you need, you can clean your area. That is number 27. Tomorrow is Friday. We start testing on next week. There isn't a guarantee we will have a day of reviewing on next week. So definitely make sure you have another look at that study guide before you submit it if we don't have a chance to review. I may do a review session on tomorrow. If I do, I will email you and inform you of that time in case you are available to it.
It's the same guy when we apply by grade too.
Yes, yes. We halfway finished now. We did all of part 2. We up to 27 on this one. We almost finished. Those of you at home, have a good one. I think it got about 60